Hi everybody, welcome to Simple Art at Home with me, Laura Houston. Today I'm going to show you how to draw a tiger in the style of Korean folk art. And I'm going to step to the side here and we're going to show you some more examples of Korean folk art tigers. Aren't they cool? Okay, so before we get started with the art lesson, let's take a look at some of that fabulous kids art. Kids art. Thank you so much for sending in pictures of your artwork. I just love seeing what you do. I always keep my email there on the bottom of the screen so you always know how to reach me. For today's art project, I mentioned before that we will be drawing and coloring in a tiger in the style of Korean folk art. And for this lesson, you are going to need paper, something to color with, a pencil, and a good eraser, and it's helpful if you have a black pen to outline with, but you could always use a black crayon or a black colored pencil. So I'm going to step to the side one more time because I want you to take a look at some other examples of traditional Korean folk art tigers. And folk art in Korean is called minhwa. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when we start our project. Okay, so I will go ahead and meet you over at the table. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw a tiger that is more of a toddler tiger or like a child tiger, and he's going to be friendly, but he will still have the same style. And over here, this is how you spell minhwa, and that is the word for Korean folk painting. And I tried my best with Hangul. We'll have to have Dr. Sandra Song, tell me how I did with this, but I'm still learning and I tried. But this Hangul is how you write minhwa. Okay, so we're going to start with a circle shape here. And this is going to become the tiger's head. And we're going to draw another circular shape here, which will become his body. So we start with these simple shapes, okay? And as you know, I always go over my work with a black pen. And I'm probably going to be using my eraser a lot because I'm just going to be sketching. So I'm going to put my pencil near the center of the circle, and we're going to draw like this curve, which is kind of like his hind leg. And it's just going to go around here, and it's going to round off over here, maybe a little bit higher. And this will come down and it will become his foot down here. And for his foot, we're just going to come down and over. And for his foot, we're going to show his little toes. We're going to go up like that, and midway through, right here, halfway, we'll draw another foot. So you want his foot, the bottom of his foot. Let me see if I can line this up here. You want the bottom of his foot to some, you know what, let me grab a ruler. That's even better because you'll be able to see it better. Notice how the bottom toe kind of lines up with his hindquarters here, this part, okay? So we'll have this toe, and then I'm going to start halfway up right here and do another toe. That's how you show one toe in front of the other, and one more toe. And I'm going to just bring this leg up, and it's going to just touch where his chin area would be, right about here. Okay, so there we have one foot. And why don't we go ahead and draw the back foot. So the back foot, he's going to kind of sit on it from this area right here. It's going to come around, like this would be the heel of his little paw. And it's going to come around like this, and we're going to curve up 1, 2, and 3 right into his body. And I'm just going to darken this now. We'll bring this around so it will come right there. And I'm going to erase part of this line here because I want that to look like his foot is a little bit in front. And then I'm going to fill in this line here like that. And why don't we go ahead and finish off the second foot, which will be like his front left foot. It's going to come a little bit higher. So it'll be kind of about right here. I know it seems odd. This is the style that the tigers usually stood in for the Korean folk art style. 2, and we'll do one more, a third little paw, a little toe that goes up there to his head. And I'm going to add his tail. And his tail will come about, so this is the center area. I'm just going to go over and up just a little bit. And his tail is going to just curve up and go over. And it's going to be kind of thick. Tigers have a thick tail. And I'm just going to follow that kind of backwards S curve. And it's going to get wider as it touches his body. And then it's going to look more like a tiger once we put in his facial features. And, just as a reminder, folk art is not meant to look realistic, okay? And folk art usually is created by artists who do not have formal training. And it's usually, very specifically styled. There's a certain look to it. I'm making one very large eye here, and I'm going to leave a space and make another large eye over here. So the tiger's looking back over his shoulder. So that's why there's more head over here on this side. There should be more space over there because he's looking over his shoulder, and I'm going to make the eyes nice and large. And actually, I need to make this one a little bit larger. It's always hard to get the eyes to match in size. And, we're going to have his nose come down like this. It'll come down kind of between his eyes. Tigers have we're going to do a little nose like this and draw a little line across the top. And then we will connect his upper mouth kind of curves. It's going to come around and curve like this. So this first circle, we're going to modify it a little bit. I'm going to have it come out. So we're going to use our eraser a lot. Something like that. So as I was saying, folk artists are usually not formally trained, and usually folk artists had another full-time job where they earned money doing something else. Like, maybe a folk artist could have been a farmer or, worked in a factory, and then after work or on the weekends, folk artists would, create the folk art. I'm just bringing his mouth very wide, way over here and around to the front. And I want it to go all the way to this edge of the circle, the original circle that we drew. And I'm just going to bring it around like this. And this will be filled with teeth. So now I can erase this extra line. And let's see, why don't we finish the eyes before we make the teeth? So I'm going to make big big eye here with a dot in the middle. And we'll do another large circle with a dot in the middle. And let's put his ears on him. So the tiger is going to have curved ears, almost like a bear. And we're going to put like a little rainbow shape here. That's going to be one ear. And we'll do another ear over here. And again, it's hard to get things symmetrical. I have a hard time with that when it comes to eyes and ears, but I might fix it when I go over it with my black pen. There we go. I can kind of see how I want that to be. That's a little better. It's a little big, but I can fix it still. Okay. I think the rest of this, I might just go ahead and fill in with my pen so that you can see it very clearly. Okay. So why don't I start? Let me see if I have another. So I'm using a regular Sharpie. I want to see if I have one with a finer. Oh, this one looks like it might be a little better. Okay. For some reason, I really want to start with his eyes. And I will just go through and erase some of my extra pencil marks. That's okay. That's why we use pencils first and have erasers. Okay. And in Korean folk art, tigers have bright yellow gold eyes. We're going to color those in brightly. And then we'll put his nose here. That'll be the little tip of his nose that we'll color in red. So you're going to definitely need some crayons or oil pastels or paints or something. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw his head, his tiger head. Just going to bring this line around. Sometimes if you wear bracelets or jewelry, they can make your arm like bump on the paper. So I try to remember to take them off before I start. And so as you can see, as I'm drawing his head, it's almost a complete circle. Like I could easily keep this line going and it would be a complete circle, but I don't want to do that because I'm going to put some big tiger teeth in here. So here I'm going to draw an upside down triangle, and I'll do another one over here. And then we can put two smaller teeth here. So we have those teeth in his open mouth. And let's finish his ears. So usually I looked up, I did a little research on Korean tigers in folk art, and they're commonly drawn with blackbirds called magpies. But I thought we would just keep our drawing very simple. Today we're not going to draw a magpie, but if you want to, you can look up what a magpie looks like and draw it, add it to your drawing. I'm going to draw his body here. And remember, this is that second circle. We're going to stop it here and draw that foot and go up. 1, 2, 3. And here was this curve that came over and down. Let me fix that curve a little bit. It came over and down into this foot with his little paws. 1, 2, 3. And here's this other foot. 1, 2, 3. And let's finish off this part of his body. There, so it looks like he's crouching. And then I'm gonna draw his tail, which is like that backwards S shape. And we also need to add some dots right here, which would be maybe like where little whiskers would be. We can add some whiskers. Why don't we do 3 whiskers on each side? So we can have one kind of going straight out and then one up and one down. And in order for our tiger to look realistic, we'll need to also add the markings. Okay, why don't we start with his tail? The tip of his tail will be black. But I say that, but you know, you can color your tiger any way that you want to. I'm always just making suggestions. I'm going to try to do mine in a more traditional way. But again, this is your artwork. So we have these little skinny triangles, and we're going to keep these triangles going throughout his body. Now this part, in order to keep the art like traditional Korean folk art for the tiger, I'm going to show you how to draw the triangles through the curve of his leg. Okay. And at first, you know, he looks like a little odd creature, but pretty soon you'll see he's going to start looking like a little young tiger. Okay. And I'm going to just close this gap right here to make it look like his mouth. There. We have like a little mouth opening. That looks better. Like maybe the back of his jaw or something. Okay, so I'm going to start here on this curve. And as you can see, I'm kind of drawing some curved triangles. And it's just going to wrap around here. And I'm going to make another one here. And it's going to keep going. And this is what makes it very traditional folk art. And we're going to keep this curve going here all around his hindquarters, just making some triangles. And I'm making the triangles a little curved because, you know, his body is round, curved. So it always looks better if your triangles have a little curve to them as well. And they can kind of be, like one can be longer than the other. They don't have to be super perfect. Let's see, I'm going to bring it through here and I'm going to continue all the way. So like these triangles are going to continue over here, like coming out from here. So it looks like they're continuing down his back, and we'll have one come out here, like it's behind his chin. And we'll just keep those triangles going down his front leg. And we're going to stop like at the top of his foot. Okay, so we have, you know, I could, now that I look at this, I might want to make a couple of these a little bit longer to bring them in a little bit more. There. I like that look better. And let's not forget this foot back here. Let's put our triangles here. And let's color in the details on his face. So I'm going to draw a helper line that goes this way down the center of his nose. See how I curved it a little bit? And I'm going to draw some patterns down the front of his nose. I'm going to raise that up a little closer so you can see. Is that helper line? So here I'm going to draw like kind of between the top part of his two eyes. I'm going to put a dot. And then I'm going to make a larger dot. I'm going right on the middle of that line, and then an even larger dot. And then we'll put some, again, some triangles. And this will kind of go off the end, like we can't see it. We'll do some triangles here and here. And little triangles, let's fit some little ones in right here. And then we're going to make some little V's, like tiny little V's here to fill in this pattern, and maybe one right there. And then on the right side of his face, we're going to make some spots. And the spots will kind of be like little donuts. So they'll be open in the center, but thick at the same time. So I'm going to make one here like that. We can draw one so it's kind of going off, like it looks like it's continuing off there, and we'll make them different sizes. It looks better if they're like naturally different sizes. I'll make another one kind of going off over here, and then let's do one more down here, just right below his open mouth. Okay, and we have, let's see, we've got his whiskers. Oh, let's color in the tops of his ears black, and we'll leave the center rainbow part will be colored in red. There we go. He's looking more like a tiger. So as I started to say, I wanted to learn more about why are tigers commonly used in Korean folk art, and I found out that Korea was once home to a very large population of tigers because Korea has a very mountainous landscape. There's a lot of mountains, and Korea was popularly known as the land of tigers. And what I found very interesting as well is that it was also known, not only was it known as the land of tigers, but it was known as the land of exceptional people who know how to tame the tiger. I thought that was very interesting. So it showed that there was a close relationship between tigers and the Korean people. Why don't we draw some plants in this area, maybe some grass. So I think I will draw something like this. You can put trees in the background if you want. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna make some little marks like this, and I will color them in, like in the center, it'll be green, like a green plant. I saw a lot of different trees in the Korean folk art with tigers and magpies. There are lots of trees in the background, but I'm going to simplify this, and we'll do small plants that maybe could grow to become trees, and they look something like this. And why don't we put like some grass here, and we can maybe, you can put some pebbles and some rocks and some spots to make it look like dirt. We can put some more grass over here, and maybe we're gonna put one more little plant right here that will come here. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, you can add some details like this. And why don't we make one more come off over here, kind of going off the edge. Okay, maybe some more little rocks and pebbles. And I think those are all the details. And so now I will move on to the color. And as I said before, you can choose whatever color that you would like. But if you want to use, similar colors to what I am using, it might be more like traditional Korean folk art. Okay, so I'm going to start with the eyes, because this is what I noticed in many of the paintings, the traditional art. The eyes were this bright, like golden yellow, and they were large, too large. Sometimes they look crazy too, like eyes going in odd shapes in different directions. So the tigers were not drawn to be ferocious. They were drawn with like expressions like either a grin on their face or more of like a stern, like a serious expression, but they weren't drawn to be like ferocious and scary. Although I did read that they were considered creatures who could expel evil spirits, or they were symbols of superiority. But at the same time, like because they were shown with a grin or a stern expression, I did read somewhere that the style kind of reflected the Confucian values of virtue and benevolence. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the inside of his mouth, of his open mouth, red. I'm using oil pastels, in case you were wondering what these are. It's kind of, they're thick, right? They don't have a fine point. so it's a little difficult for me to see. Oh, I guess I should put my glasses on. There, that's a little better. Okay. So I think that is all. That's all that I'm going to do, Red. I'm going to do a little bit of this light tan color on kind of like the backs of his feet here and down here as well. And we're gonna make his body orange. Let's see. So as far as, oh, and let's see, maybe I'll add a little bit more. Oh, on his, oh, let's do this tan color on the bridge of his nose. And back on this foot, back here. And over on his cheek area here, we're going to use the tan color. Okay. I think this tiger is going to be a happy, cute tiger. There we go. Leaving a little bit of white around the edge. It looks like maybe a little bit down here. Okay, so now I will add in some orange, and I'll kind of start around here. Let's see. Oh, so inside these little dots, I'm not gonna color them in. I'm gonna leave them white, those little spots. So I'm trying to color around. So oftentimes folk art has many like shapes and patterns, and it ends up, the whole look of the art is often kind of happy and fun. Kind of the style. And as I said before, folk art was not usually created by formally trained artists. Like they did not go to school for the arts to be trained by masters or anything. This was something that, like, technique that they learned and developed on their own. Okay, so there we have part of his face right there. And then I'm going to color in his legs down here. Let's make I'm going to make my tiger orange. I'm going to leave a little, let's see. I think I'll follow the shape of the triangles here. I think that would look better as I color, so that the marks of my pastel or the marks of my crayon mimic the direction of the spiral. There we go. And I might leave a little bit, I'll try to soften this right here. There. And I'm going to continue on with the orange. I really like how this little folk art, this Korean folk art tiger is coming out. We're going to leave a little white right here. Okay, let's color some of the background in. Why don't we use green to color the insides of these little plants, or maybe they're future trees. You know, if this interests you, you can look up more examples on the internet to see more examples of these, of the Korean folk art tigers. They're quite exceptional. They're pretty amazing. And as I said before, they're often shown amongst trees, pine trees and other kinds of trees. And there's often a blackbird, which is a magpie. I researched that. And I think there's also a legend. I also read that tigers are often featured as the spirit of the mountain god in Buddhist art and in other folk art. So there's a lot of interesting information. Okay, got some little, and I'll just fill in this. Just this adds a little greenery, a little interest. And why don't we add some brown here, just to represent the dirt or the earth or the forest floor or the mountain floor, wherever our tiger is sitting and playing. I'm not like taking too much time on this. I'm leaving some parts white, but I'm just doing a few brown streaks here and there. I could, I think I might want to show 2 layers here. So I might draw another layer of line that kind of goes through here. I like that better. So, and I'm going to fill this in here and leave that top part kind of white. I'll do another row right here. See, I'm just quickly sketching. Oh, I need to color in his tail. I almost forgot. Wouldn't that be terrible? If I completely forgot to color in his tail, I would have gotten some emails. Okay. That's better. I'm going to soften this a little bit. There we go. That's so much better. Okay, what about a little bit of blue sky? A little bit of blue sky up here. We'll do a few lines. Just to give our artwork a more finished look. And I'm drawing some lines that they parallel the horizon line. I'm just kind of filling in a little bit. I'm not trying to be too perfect. You can use a darker blue if you want to. You can put some clouds in the sky if you want to. That gives it a more finished look. Yes, he is so cute. Oh, Mr. Jeff Houston, who I've told you manages all the technology. I think he's very happy with this tiger. You want me to put this here? Okay, all right. He is very, very cute. Oh, okay. So, so what we did was, this is a young tiger drawn in the style of Korean folk painting. And the word in Korean is minhwa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'll have to double check with Dr. Song. And I tried my best to write the word minhwa here in Hangul. And I hope you get a chance to look online and research some more different Korean folk art tigers, because you might find another one that you'd like to draw. Okay, so I am going to meet you back up at the easel. Okay. So here we have our little guy, our little tiger. And okay, now that we've seen this, let's compare him to the other tigers. I'm going to step off the screen really quickly so we can see them again. So notice the eyes that are very large and kind of going in different directions. Look at the stripes, those little triangle stripes on their bodies. Look at the trees. Do you see the magpies, the bird behind the tiger in the center? And notice how their faces are grinning, or they're not ferocious and scary tigers. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I had a lot of fun, and I enjoyed learning about Korean folk art. And before I go, why don't we take one last look at that fabulous kid art. I'll see you next time. Kids art. See you next time.